The following is an archived interview originally conducted by Julius B. Chaton. This interview was aired on KFCF 88.1FM, Free Speech Radio for Central California. For more details, please visit kfcf.org.
Maybe a few months ago, I ran into a lady who I always saw at this same coffee shop named Teresa. And Teresa actually ended up being a very big help to our show here. You know, she's gotten us so far 2 guests. This will be our second one. And Teresa, thank you very much for, helping us out here. I mean, just developing an interest in the show, and she got us Enrique. And so I'm going to have Enrique come on, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about the things that he does. He's a musician, and a multifaceted musician at that. So hold on one second. We're going to put Enrique through.
Yep.
All right. Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. First of all, I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing your name right.
Well, yeah, you got it right.
Okay, great. Great. All right. So now, how did you first develop an interest in music?
I don't know. I guess you could say I grew up with music, listening to the radio with my parents in the car. They listened to a lot of oldies. So I kind of got a little bit of a rhythm section going from the radio when I was young. My dad played guitar around the house, and I don't know, it's just always been a kind of a positive influence in my life, I guess.
Wonderful. Yeah, music has been, I think, a part of my life, everyone's life at one point or another. You know, we all have music around us growing up, this whole thing. Tell us a little bit about your band.
Yeah, my band's name is From Indian Lakes. We're up here in the mountains, about 45 minutes away from you guys down there in Fresno. We kind of got together around 2009 and recorded an album and started taking the band seriously. We're all kind of just friends from high school. We had garage bands in high school and did that kind of thing, played church shows and whatnot when we were growing up, and kind of took music more seriously kind of out of high school. And then we started this band and got a pretty good response, so we decided it must be something worth doing, so we kept at it, and here we are now.
Yeah, I know that there are a lot of negative stereotypes about the musicians, which are often reinforced by popular artists in our day and age. You know, as a result, there are several listeners who may begin to categorize all artists in a negative light. Do you ever become frustrated by the celebrity musicians who tend to glorify self-destructing?
Yeah, I guess you could say it's a little frustrating. I don't know. I think personally, when it comes to music, if it's not about in art, if it's not about coming from, basically your heart and soul and what you put into it, anytime you switch from that to personal things like partying or doing drugs or, what have you, whatever people glorify that isn't the music, I think that once you get away from that, it starts becoming not about the music and just kind of gets, unfocused and not really what people are there to, what you're giving to people, and it becomes a negative thing and not a positive thing.
Right.
Sometimes the stereotypical idea of a musician is that they're off into drugs, and it's almost like they can't do the kind of music that they want without the drug. Can your guests maybe speak about why there are those musicians who feel like they've got to be on such a crazy high to be able to write the kind of music? What's going on with that sort of a situation?
Well, I can't.
I mean, is that you? You can always plead the fifth, by the way.
Well, I can't speak for people who think that, being on a substance or, getting a natural or, an artificial high makes your music better or helps you create music. I've never done it that way. I personally don't think that it matters. I think that once you get into kind of things that aren't organically yours, things that you like, feelings that you have, just things that you've gone through, reasons why you write the music. If it's not a reason why you're writing the music, if it's, getting drunk or getting high, whatever the case may be, I personally think that it's separate from the music. But a lot of people, combine it as one thing, and they're like, I can't get this done unless I'm doing this other thing. And, that kind of works for them, but I don't see it working at all. I don't see it being on the same page, if you will.
I think it depends on the person. Right. Substances will cloud a person's vision, and for other people, because you hear the stories about, well, I become who I want to be when I'm drunk. The people who get drunk in the bars or what have you, and they start telling things that they normally wouldn't say, in any other setting, and so maybe it lowers a person's inhibitions. I'm not promoting drug use at all, recreational, but I'm just saying, different people have different reactions to that.
Well, I've seen some of these other new artists who get on the stage and they break up their guitars and they jump all over the place, and
right.
I'm thinking, like, what the heck are they on? So
that's
true, can you say something, brother, because you're a musician? I mean, what's going on from one extreme to the other? It's like the person who drinks a glass of wine when they're having their dinner and they're cool, versus the person who goes to happy hour and she's swinging from the chandeliers, or he's swinging from the chandeliers. What's going on with the person?
I think that personally, like me, up on stage just performing for people, our band's, alternative indie rock band, we get pretty into the music. I feel like that itself is a euphoric experience. Performing for people, essentially putting on a show for people. If they're listening to your music on the CD, it's going to be different from when they go in and watch you live. So I understand the live aspect of, getting to that point of excitement, making sure that everybody's entertained. But I feel like it's a different scenario when you're entertaining yourself, when you're making music, and you're saying, well, this can't be what I want it to be unless it's unless I'm doing this. Or so I feel like there's if you look at just rock culture, just classic rock bands, it's. Like, if you watch a documentary about a classic rock band, it's going to be crazy the amount of, substances
right.
and just different things that they're into. And, it's there. It's just like that's what rock and roll was at the time. And I feel like maybe newer artists kind of graduated from that. I know I've never been into drugs. I've never, been drunk while playing music and doing that kind of thing. So I really wouldn't know, what it's like. But, that's as far as I, can see the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brother Tut, Moses is in our studio too, and he's a musician. You have something to say about this, my brother?
Of course.
Okay.
Well, through my travels, I've been on both ends of the spectrum. Not with the drugs or anything, but with artists who, partake in the drugs or whatever. To the point where something as mild as like marijuana that gets them started, it gets their day started, they can focus more, they can write better, what have you, But, to the extremes where people's taking acid, E-pills, all kind of crazy coke, and they going bananas, like rock bands talking about Satan's lair and all this crazy going on. I look at that as like Bob Marley, he smoked his marijuana or whatever, and like some people use it medicinally, so I can understand that. But you don't take no acid for any ailment, so
to clear your mind, to take acid, it doesn't really work that way.
It clear your mind out, right? You're straight empty, boy. But things like that. Drinking. Some people like to drink, so they can get loose if they want to play pool or something at the bar, or they want to do some karaoke. They might take a couple drinks and they get in there and get in their groove. I'm not going out that, But I know that it's a point when you have to draw a line. Like Lil Wayne, he might get pilled up, liquored up, coke. I'm not saying he do, but for the rumors, Then, just like, and then he might come out saying something crazy, and well, there you have it. That's the product of that. Yeah. But Bob, on the other hand, did his thing, and look what his product came out of. So not everything's for everybody. They just got to find their niche and then roll with it.
You know, it's been my observation that listeners tend to confine themselves to genres of music which exemplify their own cultural background. I've had so many people say, "Oh, what type of music do you listen to?" And when I say everything, they say, okay, but what exactly do you listen to?" You know, they don't identify with being able to hear different types of music, different genres. So, as a musician, have you ever felt the need to confine yourself to one particular genre?
You know, I feel like every genre you feel a connection to. Every type of music that you're listening to can be a part of you. It can be your personal style. It can be, something that you do. So I feel like if you confine yourself to a certain genre, I mean, don't get me wrong, you can be a total fanatic of one genre. You know, like you can be into reggae, more than anyone else in the world. That's fine, but I'm just saying if you confine yourself to one thing, you're limiting yourself. You're missing out on a lot of things. Like, say you feel a connection to one type of music or two types of music, and you focus on one. I feel like you're kind of missing out, especially when you're making music.
Right.
I feel like my band kind of ranges from high to low. You know, we get noisy, but then we're also soft, and we have different dynamics to our songs. And I feel like if we limited ourselves at the beginning, writing these songs, that we would definitely not be as broad in having people listen to us. Some people would be turned off by our sound if it was too much of one thing. So I feel like confining yourself really limits yourself.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about music and education, and I'm not going to get too technical here, but I just want to talk about some statistics I found online. According to ehow.com, recent studies at both Harvard and Bryn Mawr reveal that various links between music and math skills in the education system. Music involves understanding certain images and symbols, determining the relationship between these symbols, and translating them into musical notes. This interpretation of mental images reinforces the neurological process of image and symbol recognition, which improves students' math skills. This is particularly useful when it comes to calculus and geometry. So, with all of that in mind, do you think it's important for public school systems to continue funding their music programs?
I think it's a necessity in school. I think that given just the statistics that you read out just now, it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's such a waste if you don't have outlets for kids growing up. You get to realize so many things about yourself through music, I believe. And other things too, just art in general. I think art in schools kind of fuels that fire when you're growing up to become a person who you want to be. When you learn about yourself and you kind of learn about what makes you tick as a person. And I feel like education needs to have that element to it. Growing up, you need to have different outlets. You need to have something to keep you structured, basically. And music can be one of those outlets. It's not for everybody, don't get me wrong, but I feel like art in general can use specific themes and elements in children's lives to make them grow up to be somebody who's, a lot different than you would think.
Yeah, because really it's a form of self-expression, being able to play these different instruments and building self-confidence, as we talked about with the dance. How many instruments do you play?
I play one instrument mainly in the band. I play keys.
Okay.
And then I kind of do a little bit of percussion here and there with the band, and then goof around with other instruments. But I wouldn't call myself a multi-instrument guy. But
Okay. How difficult was it just to learn an instrument? Because I don't play any instruments, and I'm just trying to range this. If I were to suddenly decide to try and learn an instrument, how difficult do you think it would be to learn to read music, the whole nine? I've never gone that route.
Yeah. Well, I mean, me personally, I picked up the piano to join the band. I was a fan of the band before, when it was just starting out. They were my friends in the band, so I was a fan. But I didn't really know instruments. I was a vocalist in my other band, and was, in music, but I didn't really know how to play. So I basically just learned for the band, and I feel like if it starts with a passion, if it starts with something that you want to do more than everything else, it becomes a necessity for you, and you must do it, and you learn quicker that way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're picking it up as a hobby, it takes practice. It's something that you have. It's like any kind of art, you have to practice at it to become, better and to actually learn it. And I feel like with instruments, it can be a lot more rigid. It can be a lot more difficult when you're not learning it as a passion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. You have to be passionate about anything, I think, in order to excel. It's very true.
Yeah, so I feel like people, I don't know, if you look at kids who've been playing, piano, they've had piano lessons since they were 5 years old, and they've been reading sheet music and doing all that great stuff. They have, this sixth sense, if you will, for the instrument. They know it. If you put sheet music in front of them, they can just play whatever they want, whatever's in front of them, and it becomes just like the back of their hand. They just know it. But I feel like learning in a different way, like in my case, just picking up an instrument and trying to learn it because you're passionate about this music, you're passionate about, playing with your friends and doing this kind of thing. I feel it adds another element, and you kind of are able to adapt to it the way that, your personality.
One of the things that I've observed is that, and I go to a predominantly African-American church, and when they get down with the music and the choirs and so forth, and I look at these kids, young kids, 2 years old. I mean, it seems like the kid might not even be able to walk very well, but that kid's got some rhythm and really knows how to be on cue. They got the body language. I went to an event last night where it was just standing room only. They'd brought in a guest speaker and was honoring one of the big pastors here, I guess, in town. And I saw this kid. The kid might have been 4 years old, and I couldn't believe this kid was right on cue. The body language, the head movement, I mean, the singing. And then I see the kids going up on the drums. I see them on the piano. Sometimes you got to sit them up on a stack of books to get them up there. And the reason I'm saying that is because within the African-American community, they seem so cultured into the music and so right on. And then they go through the school system, and something seems to happen to that creativity as they're going through the system. They're not as expressive. They're not as well. I don't want to take the show to another area, another direction. Now I'm trying to keep it as real for me as I can. But it just seems like something stuns that within our traditional educational system. And I would think that musicians overall that have this, especially kids who are exposed to that sort of environment, they're getting through our educational system, and it just seems like it's so sterile to the rhythm part of them that I think would actually help throughout their learning. Because, I mean, learning is about rhythm. I see my students trying to do homework, and they got these headphones in their ears, listen to music while they're reading. That's over in the community colleges or the university. So something seems to happen when they get into the educational system that just seems to take that out of them as opposed to enhancing that. Somebody help me with it. I mean, what's going on with that?
That's true, because even when we do our ABCs as a child, there's always has a rhythm.
Yeah, there's a song that goes to that.
Everything has a song because it's a vibration. So we permeate vibration, right? So that's a part of us. Our heartbeat is a rhythm. And the mother's stomach heartbeat is a rhythm. So we find correlation in the rhythm and the things that we do as well. So I think once they snatch that out of the schools, that's the problem. But black children, only the thing I could speak for, because I'm one and I have two. So, but it's like when they're so young as 2-3 months, you see when you put music on, they start jamming.
They be trying to do a Beyonce at 6 months old.
Oh, not my daughter. doing the Lauryn Hill. But yeah, I see. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I think it's part of the education system that they don't want to confine themselves to one particular culture, and so they just make it culturally mute, in order to accommodate a lot of people, and then you end up losing a lot of the cultural things that are specific to one ethnicity or one group of people. I think in the black churches you're going to have that, and it's going to be sort of like a, I don't want to say inbred, but an inbred thing, just passed down from generation to generation, and you have all of the elders there, you have everybody that the people that you can identify with are all doing the same thing, and I think that may be where it comes from. But, in school, you're going to school with so many different cultures, it's kind of hard to, cater to one specific entity.
But you see, I'm thinking that this is not really unique to the African-American culture. I happen to know that because that's where I frequent on a Sunday morning. That's the place of worship I tend to go to. But I almost believe that this may be in other cultures. So when you take that, whether you're going to the church on the north side of town that's predominantly Caucasian, or you're going to the Hispanic church that has its own rhythm, or you're going to an African-American church, or the Native American, or our Islamic brothers and sisters, our Jewish culture, whatever the place is that you go, something happens when those kids come together in the educational system. It's like that is not embraced. It's not really encouraged. And now they want to bring it out of you when it's those special celebration months. Right. But at the rest of the time, you got to sit on it. And I think that it's like they almost take on a whole nother culture within our sterile educational system. And I think what I hear the guests saying is that, the education piece with music should really be part of that.
Should be.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even, it should be the backbone to me.
Yeah.
Because of the creativity it spawns. It has to. I mean, if you get rid of that, then look at the conditions now.
Look at the conditions.
You snatch all the character out of the students because they don't have that lane to be free. So if they don't have any freedom to do what they feel, they spiritual feeling, then it's just a shell walking around empty.
Well, Rick, I really do thank you for joining us this evening. It's been a great conversation. Give us a plug one more time for your band information, your genre, the whole nine.
Well, thanks for having me. My band, again, is From Indian Lakes. We're on Facebook, Tumblr, MySpace, all that great stuff.
Awesome.
We have an album out called The Man with Wooden Legs. You can purchase it on iTunes or just listen to it on Facebook.
Awesome.
And yeah.
All right. Thank you, Enrique, for joining us. Take care.
Thank you. You have a good night.
All right.
Thank you for listening to this archived interview originally broadcast on KFCF 88.1 FM. For more information on free speech radio in Central California, visit kfcf.org. This has been a Julius Chaton production.